Hello, everyone. So, I am back with another chit chat. It's 91 degrees. I feel very drained. So, this morning I played tennis. Just got in from dinner, so we can do outdoor dining up here, and I have been taking full advantage of that, and I'll have at least one meal outdoors a week. Um, I don't really know what I want to cover. Well, okay, I take that back. There is something I've been wanting to say for quite some time. And I didn't know whether I wanted to say it as a part of a chit chat or to do a separate video. Um, and you'll have to pardon me because I'm actually sleepy. So being out in the sun made me completely sleepy, and I'm probably gonna take a nap after this. But so yeah, I guess I'll touch on it here, and if I feel the need to go further in depth, I'll do that later. But there's just been a lot of negative stuff on um social media. By the way, my lipstick is Class Act by Lip Bar. So there's just been a lot of I hate cliches, so I won't say there's just been a lot of negativity. But I don't know, like I feel like people are becoming either desensitized to the level of darkness whenever someone does something. And maybe it's just me, but I don't know, like it's getting to the point people were committing crimes before, but it's really getting to the point where like lines are being crossed and people aren't even they're not considering their own well-being, because there's this notion that people can say whatever they want, and that's not true. What you say can get you in trouble even if you don't do it. Example, threatening to rob a bank. You can't just go around saying you're gonna rob a bank and then say, well, I didn't actually do it. I That's when there's a point when things cross the line from personal feelings and insults to actual criminal liability, actual community endangerment, things like that. And also just like unethical things, like sure we should all be nice to each other, but it's a whole other line that's being crossed when someone is being caught in the crossfire. For example, you hate a parent, so you talk about the kid. um yeah, so the thing about that is the kid is a separate person, and the, I don't know whether people assume that by disrespecting the parent you by disrespecting the kid you disrespect the parent, and the kid is just collateral damage, or if people are actually just like um I don't know, like, because here's my thing, like, you can't disrespect someone's child directly and then in the next breath say things like, well, I don't know why we should care about someone else's child. I'm not going to care about a child that the parent won't even protect. Or and here's the other thing. These are the same people who will then pretend to care about missing black girls or human trafficking when it's in the news. So like, do you care about other kids, or do other people's kids, or do you not? That's the thing. Like there not only does there need to be consistency, but there's also a certain thing called personal standards and community standards, and there has to be a line that even if you like someone, you're going to hold them accountable if they cross it. And holding someone accountable doesn't have to take the it shouldn't take the form of you insulting each other and you don't like each other and this and that and yelling at each other. Like, I don't know, there has to be a point at which we collectively rein someone in. And in society, that does exist, although it's kind of controversial. But we can all agree that, for the most part, hauling off and murdering well, yeah, that's a bad example nowadays, but robbing a bank, It's one of those things you shouldn't do. And if your friend is thinking about robbing a bank, you're like, hey, you need to back off of that. Or if blowing someone's house up, if you got a friend who's talking about blowing someone's house up, you're going to say, hey, don't say that. And it's not because, oh, well, that person stole my $5 or that person has been bothering me. All of that goes out the window once you cross a certain line of making threats and liability and criminal liability and things like that. And then just like respect for the community, respect for people who might get caught in the middle of that stuff. Example, if you blow that person's house up, their parents might be there, or their kids might be there, or it might, the fire might spread to the neighbor's house. And it makes absolutely no sense to say, you know what, I don't care about the neighbor's house. Why would I care about that person's neighbor if they don't care about that person's neighbor? And I think the underlying theme, I feel like when a person says something like that, I'm looking at a person who feels as if they weren't protected when they wanted protection at some point, oftentimes when they were a child. And this is even the case of people who claim to have had perfect childhoods, or people who claim to have received everything they ever wanted. Somewhere at some point, somewhere along the lines, that person didn't receive something they needed deep down inside or really wanted from a parent or someone in a trusted position. And the thing about that is, like, I don't want to say life goes on, but it's like with trauma in general. Like, you can either take it and um let it make you a better person, let it develop character within you. Not saying that like it's okay for people to be traumatized or to go around traumatizing each other, but there's sometimes trauma happens because of the family you were born into, or you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe you made a mistake and it turned into like a much bigger thing than you anticipated. But the thing about that is, you can either let those things develop your character, or choose to develop character as a result of having gone through those things, or you can, I don't know, it's almost like playing tit for tat with God and the universe and with people at large, with the society at large. Oh, well, I didn't get this protection, so you don't deserve any protection. If that's the case, everyone should be out. No one should ever say anything about a murder, a kidnapping, a robbery, like any of that stuff, because um somewhere someone wasn't protected. And if one person isn't protected, then we're just not going to protect anyone. And as silly as that sounds, that's kind of what that argument boils down to: the not respecting someone else's kid when the kid's done nothing to you. The the easiest example, because like you hear it often with people in cheating, like if you're the mistress, sometimes the mistress or the mistress or whatever, it could be male or female, but the person on the side, they'll say, well, I didn't make vows to that person. Yeah, but you're still wrong. In the same way that if your neighbor leaves his or her car unlocked, you don't own the car. You're not paying the car note, the insurance, or any of that stuff. It's not your property to protect from a personal standpoint, but you're going to get into trouble if you steal that person's car, just because they left it unlocked. And even if they left the keys in the car, it doesn't give you a right to steal the car. And you would look silly standing in front of a judge saying, well, he or she left keys in the car and it's not my car to protect. And I wanted it, so I took it. Or I don't even like that person, or that person harasses me all the time, so I stole his car. Like, we all know better than this. And it should stop. And people love to play. On some level, I think some people really don't get it, because I believe they were hurt at one point and they still harbor that hurt and feel like if they don't have a sense of justice, then they don't feel empathy for someone else who is in a position that they might have been in. And honestly, that is how, I don't want to say, well, I don't know, but like my non psychology license, psychiatric or what psychology degree and license having self, I say that's where narcissism and sociopathy begins, because you lose empathy because you can't get past, and by get past I don't mean in a get over it sense, but you can't process, or you don't process what you've been through, and as a result you're just focused on someone else paying the price because you feel like you didn't get justice, so no one gets justice. You feel like you weren't protected, so no one is protected. So yeah, that's where we are. And I feel like a lot of people are like that and don't realize it. Some people are like that and maybe they can't help it without a little bit of counseling. And some people know full on well what they're doing, but they just don't care. They're just selfish, they're self absorbed. Um, and some people don't care for entertainment purposes. They like seeing people get hurt. They like seeing innocent people get caught up in things that have nothing to do with them. They like seeing people break laws and they want to see how far the envelope is going to be pushed. Um, all of it's bad, all of it's toxic, all of it's vile. And I wish that the people who have never thought of this that way, have never thought that maybe their apathy toward someone else's child or someone else's property or something that doesn't affect them directly, something bad happening to a person or a thing that doesn't benefit them directly, that maybe that apathy and that lack of concern, lack of care, feeling like that person or possession in the, if it's like a car or whatever, that item or belonging or family member doesn't deserve to be protected. That feeling comes from feeling like you weren't protected one day, and that is unresolved, and that you owe it to yourself and to the people around you to resolve that within you, because it's making you a negative, vile, hurtful person. Um, and that could get you caught up. Like, and it's not even a matter of, people see it as a matter of whether the person that you're intending to hurt will be the one to deliver justice, and that's not always where it comes. That's not always where it comes from. It could come from a third party. You could get caught saying some stuff you have no business getting caught. Again, I'd like to reiterate, you don't have to actually carry something out to get in trouble for it in certain categories. Murder, um, certain types of theft and breaking and entering and that type of thing. Conspiracy, ever hear of the word conspiracy? It's a criminal offense. Um, if you sound like you're articulating a plan to do something, you could get caught up legally. And another thing, like, when you get caught, if you get caught, you get caught. They don't, 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna look at, oh well, what did this person do to you, unless it's a self-defense thing where you're physically defending yourself, or where you're doing something to get yourself out of like a situation, like, let's say a person is holding you kid hostage in their house, and you burn the house down, or like you break the window to get out. Like, it's not really vandalism then. But if someone makes you angry and you just go breaking their windows, that's a whole crime, and no one cares at that point what that person did to you. That, no, maybe that person may have done something wrong, even if they've committed crimes against you. That's a separate matter, and it's not going to absolve you of that vandalism, unless what you did was directly to, like, to save your life or something like that. That's just the way it works, like, revenge is not covered by the law. It's not revenge. Safety, rescue, those sorts of things, protection, defense of someone's life, yes, but just because somebody makes you angry doesn't mean that a judge, a law enforcement official, anyone for that, a jury, anyone for that matter, is going to listen to you and say, oh well, this is fine, that person did something wrong to you. So it all goes back to personal accountability. It all goes back to community accountability. It goes back to standards, to not being willing to stoop to a certain level, to having certain things be off limits for you. Because you, when you're in your right mind, recognize that those things are vile and you have no business saying them or doing them. It boils back to having friends who will tell you. And another thing I see, it boils back to having wise counsel. And another thing I see is that people like to brag about, oh, you can't change me. I'm going to do whatever I want and this and that, and I am who I am and I got to learn the hard way. That's nothing to be proud of, cuz always having to learn things the hard way will get you entirely effed up. You've just not encountered a situation where you've had some things that were irreversible happen. Um and basically, like, it's a good thing to have friends who not who try to control you. And that's another thing, a secure person can hear wise counsel and not feel like they're trying to be controlled. So it's good to have friends who can not rein you in, like, physically. Well, if that's what it takes, yeah, but like, who can hold you accountable, who can speak to you and speak into your situation and say, you know what, this isn't a good idea, and you'll actually listen and respond. um Not being unwilling to listen to wise advice is nothing to brag about. It doesn't make you a stronger person. It doesn't mean you're independent. Actually, it kind of means you're foolish, and it means you're willing to run off a cliff just to prove to some non-existent audience, that the audience in your head, that you can't be controlled and you're your own person, when like half the people you're concerned about proving yourself to really don't care and don't notice, or they don't mean you well anyway. So it's just better to listen to wise people. It's better to surround yourself with wise people so that you have a level of trust with those people, so that you know that they aren't having like alternative motives behind giving you advice. It's about setting your life up better. Um, just all around doing better, and yeah, things being better. So, and I'm not at all one of those everyone has to get along type people. I'm not one of those everyone has to act right 100% of the time type people. I enjoy sometimes like the messy situations on social media, on YouTube. Like, I follow that stuff sometimes, or like, I have my stuff that I follow and watch and enjoy and giggle and whatnot. But when it goes beyond like these little light disputes between people, and just kind of like going back and forth, and it becomes things like we're threatening to commit crimes against people, or we're saying insensitive things. You don't know who's dealt with murder, you don't know who's dealt with rape, you don't know who's dealt with trafficking. um Actually, my brothers, my yeah, anyway, clearly I'm speak like those who some people, because like my viewers are from across different sectors, but some people will know the situation I'm talking about. And yeah, you don't know what people have dealt with, and you don't you call people your supporters and you say that you love them and you're loyal to them, but then you say all this stuff that um yeah, you don't know who'll get triggered, you don't know who just has like a zero tolerance policy towards certain things. And then when they vocalize that to you and say, you know what, I can't watch anymore, or this makes me feel away, your response is anger, but that person did nothing wrong. Like, yeah. Um, Basically, there needs to be more accountability. People need to realize that they're not invincible, that the rules do apply to you. But the thing is, you don't always get to choose. Actually, you don't necessarily get to choose when things catch up to you, when justice is served for your wrongdoing, because it might not be at the same time as the other person. Both of you might pay, and that could happen at different times. You might be the person who pays first. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm gonna make this a video that's just about this topic, instead of the chit chat. I'll come back with another one maybe, but yeah, I hope this helps someone. Um, but yeah, anyway. So that's that on that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care, be well. Stay clean, stay safe, stay organized. Talk to you soon. Bye.